Hi guys, can you hear me? You can tap
Yes.
1 if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes? Good. So how many scores do you get in this exam? In this test?
I got 7. I got 7 incorrect.
Wow, so good. So at the
In
average,
the online mock test, I got 1 incorrect and all the others correct.
wow, so good. It's very good.
Literally. I'm a little busy at generator, okay?
So the average score of this test is like 74. That is the average.
Just ask. I honestly don't.
I got 4 of those boys. I'm gonna bring back the
And let's see, we are going to cover 14 questions
we need to be
in this paper, and that questions, they are all, the full score rate of that questions are all below
Oh, yeah, you're right.
75%.
Oh, he's camping. Make sure the envelope is a chest, bro.
Right, let's wait for 2 minutes and then we'll get started.
I have an emerald. 3.
7.
It was 6. Here you go, Top. Oh, that's so dumb.
All right, boys, don't worry. I got break speed.
Oh wait, we got armory already. All right, never mind. But still, dude, it's a flip of the way. Yeah, we don't need break
now
speed,
we
bro.
break launch faster, guys.
Wait, can we buy armor? Dude, we can't buy armor. That's a vending machine. Okay, I got it right now, dude. I got it on my back.
Can you use some more emeralds, bro, please?
Go get it yourself. I'm opening up
All
a blind box, bro. It's gonna give me a crossbow right here, right? Crossbow.
All right, wait, what's the best thing I've ever gotten?
Crossbow.
Best thing I ever got was a frying pan.
A frying pan is not good, my boy.
Exactly. My point is they're horrible.
Okay, I got 3 fireballs. Where's the at? Nate?
One more emerald is all I need. One more emerald.
I got this guy right here.
So make sure you are muted and we'll start in 1 minute. I think it's too thick. Okay, guys, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about these questions from the independent school Learn Plus mock test of this week. And the average score of this test is 74. So you see the first one. The full score rate is 74% of this question, and that is an arithmetic sequence. So how do we solve this kind of question? You see, we need to find the 5th term in this sequence. And the first term is just 127, and the next one is 108. So you see that as for this sequence is decreasing by what number? By 19 every time, right? So you just take away 19 from first term, you get the next one. And for this one, for this question, you only need to find the 5th term. So you got 2 different ways to solve it, right? So you need to take away 1 of 19, then take away another 19, so you get the answer. If you take away 19, you got 70, and 70 take away 19, you got 51. So 51 will be the answer to this question. But let's see, if I ask you like the eighth term, so maybe you can get the general term of this sequence. And we know that to get the general term, we need to find the common difference first, and that will be the coefficient of our n. So you got minus 19 times n. And then you let n equals to 1. You got a minus 19. But actually, the number in the sequence is not minus 19, it's 127. So you have to add a number to minus 19. So you got 127, and that number should be 146. Because 146 minus 19, you got 127. And then you let n equals to 5. Okay, so that'll be another method you solve it. Let's see, minus 19 times 5 plus 146. And that equals to, if I swap the order, it's gonna be 146 minus, say 95, right? So 146 minus 95, you got 51. So you see, you got the same answer, okay? But actually, for this one, I think it's no need to get the general term. You're gonna waste a lot of time, but you have to know that technique to solve this kind of questions, okay? So next one. As for this one, the full score rate is only, say, 40%. So it means 60% of the student did this wrong. So you see, what is 432 rounded to the nearest 30? So how do we solve this kind of question, guys? We need to find how many of 30 do we have in this number, and then you round it. So if you use 432 divided by 30, what do you get with what kind of remainder? What is your remainder? And what is your quotient? How many of 30 do you have in it? Guys, can you type it for me in the chat box? You got 14 of that, right? That 14. You got 14 of 30 out of 432 with a remainder of 12. And now after this step, you have to compare, is that remainder greater or less than half of 30? And you see that 12 is less than half of 30, so we're going to choose 14 as a result. So that means we have 14 of 30. So we round it to the nearest 30. The answer should be 30 times 14, which is 420. Okay, guys, one more question. If I change this one, if I change this one into 435, if I want to round this one, I round this one to the nearest. Yes, Yoon?
Would the answer be 15 with a remainder of no? Would
Yes.
it be 15?
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. Because he used 435 divided by 30, you got 14 with a remainder of 15. And now we have to compare it. 15 equals to half of 30, right? So you're gonna add 1 to your quotient if you want to round it, okay? So the answer will change into 30 times 15, and that will be 450. So for this one, let's see, this is the first question. This, the second one, I just made it up. So for the first one, you have to compare that 12 and half of 30, right? And you find it's smaller than that. So the answer is just 14 times 30. But for this one, 15 is equal to. So whenever you got equal to or greater than, you're gonna add 1 to your quotient. Can you give another one? Yes, of course. I'm going to give you one more example here. Let's see. How about, let's say round 1,572 to the nearest, say 40. How about that? Round 1,572 to the nearest 40. So you have to use that 1,572 divided by 40, and you got the quotient with the remainder. And then you have to compare your remainder with half of 40, right? 40 divided by 2 is 20. If that one is smaller than 20, so you just use the quotient itself. If that one is equal to or greater than 20, so you're going to add 1 to your quotient to get the answer. So can you type it for me? If you use 1,572 divided by 40, what is your quotient and what's your remainder? For this one, 1,572 divided by 40. How many of 40 do you have in that? Ah, yes, that's right. That's right, Valentina and Kiki. So you got 39 if you do the division. You got 39 with the remainder of 12. That's right, 39 with remainder of 12. Now let's compare that 12, the remainder. Is that smaller or equal to or bigger than 20? 40 divided by 2, the half of the divisor. Is that smaller, greater, or equal to? Of course, 12 is smaller than 20. Smaller than 20. So we're going to choose 39 as a result. So if you want to round that number to the nearest 40, the answer would be 39 times 40. And what is the answer to this question? If you round it to the nearest 40, what's your answer? 1,560, that's right. That's the final answer of this question. Okay. Example. Guys, are we good? Do you get it? So actually, if you use another number divided by 40, you got 39 with a remainder of, let's see, 20. So you have to use 40 times 40. That'll be the answer. But for this one, 12 is smaller than 20. Okay, so just keep your quotient unchanged. Are we good, guys? Is that clear? You can type 1 for me. Yep. Very good. Any other questions? If you got questions, you can just get yourself unmuted and ask your question. Yep. Okay, no questions, no problem. Let's move on to the next one. So for this one, it's just about solving equations, and you need to be really careful when you solve equations which in terms of which got this bracket in it. So you have to remove the bracket first. Let's see, as for question A, if you want to remove the bracket, let's see, as for this 3, you have to use that 3 times every term in the bracket. So let's see, going to be 2 plus 3 times x minus 3 times 26, and that equals to 52 minus. So you see, there's a minus, this negative outside our bracket. So if you want to remove the bracket, you have to change the operation sign of every term in that bracket. So you see, in the bracket is a positive x, and if you remove the bracket, they're going to change it into a takeaway x. And here you see it's a minus 40, and outside this bracket is minus. So if you remove the bracket, you're going to change the operation sign before 40. So that's going to change it into a plus 40 here. Okay. And now you can move all the terms which are in terms of x, which has an unknown, to one side, and move the numbers to another side. Let's see. If I move this minus x, I use another color, this is a negative x, and I move that to another side, I'm going to change it into a plus x. And here I got 3x, so 3x plus 1x. As for the numbers, it will be 52 plus 40, we know that is 92. And as for this number, you're going to move that to another side. You have to take away 2. And here is 3 times 26. 3 times 26 gives us 79. but here is takeaway. So if you move that to another side, they're going to be at 78. Going to be 78. Okay, to another side. Let's see. We got 4x equals to what number? 168. So last step, just convert the coefficient of x into 1. X equals to 168 divided by 4. Then x equals to 42. That's it. Okay, second one. Actually, the method will be exactly the same. Question B, 5x minus 9 minus x equals to 2x minus 3. So 5x minus 1x equals 4x. And if you move that 2x to another side, you can change it into minus 2x. So let's see, we got 4x minus 2x, right? And that equals to, if you move that minus 9 to another side, it's going to be a positive 9. So it'll be 9 minus 3. You got 2x equals to 6. Then 1x equals to 6 divided by 2. You got 3. Okay, so this one is 3. This one's 42. As for question C, so for the last one, you got 17x. This is 9x. This is 5x. So 9x plus 5x gives us 14x. And you move that to another side, you're going to take away 14x. So you got 17x minus 14x equals to 9. Is that minus 3 or add 3? You see, if you move that to another side, you're going to change that minus 3 into a positive 1. So add 3. Let's see, what do we got? 3x equals to 12. Then 1x equals to 12 divided by 3. So you got 4. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Question number 18. A rope was cut into half. Half of the rope was cut into half again. After 4 such cuts, the length of one such rope was 1 meter. What was original length of the rope? Let's see, you're going to use this table to help you. Let's have a small table. We got 2 rows. And as for the first row, you're going to have the number of cuts. So let's do cuts, brief, it's cuts. And let's see how many ropes do we have. So I can see ropes. How many ropes do we have? If you do 1 cut, you're going to have 2 ropes, right? You cut in half. And if you do 2 cuts, you're going to cut each rope the first time into two different pieces, right? So it's going to be 2 times by 2, you got 4. And then you're going to have 3 cuts, 4 times by 2. Actually, the pattern is exactly the same as the previous one. 4 times by 2, you got 8. And then 4 cuts, 8 times by 2, you got 16. Let's see, every time you're going to times by 2. That's it. That's the answer. You see, after 4 cuts, the length of each rope was 1 meter. And you have 16 such ropes altogether. So 16 times 1, you got 16 meters. That's it. You choose C. Times 1 meter of each small unit. So you got 16 meters. That's it. Okay, guys, are we good about this question? Let's move on to the next one. I think this is very easy for you guys. Find the area and perimeter of this following shape. If you want to get the area, you got 2 different methods. The first one is that you just cut it into, okay, let's go back to this one. You just cut it into 2 rectangles and get area of each one and add them together. Let's see, if you got this small face tall rectangle and this let's do another face. How about this one? Let's do angry face. Okay, you got 2 rectangles. Okay. As for the first one, the area equals to 8 times 8 minus 5, which is 3. So 3 times 8, you got 24. And you add 5 times 2, so which is 10. So you add them together, you got 34 square centimeters. So as for this one, that is 34. And of course, you can use this complete rectangle. Actually, it's a square to take away this area, this shape, this part. So that should be 8 times 8, which is 64, minus 5 times 8 take away 2, got 6. So going to be 5 times 6. Let's see, what do we get? You got 64 take away 30, and that gives you 34 centimeters square as well. Okay, got 2 different methods to solve that. And as for the perimeter, that'll be much easier. You just push this line up. You use the translation method. So for this blue side, you can push that one up. And for this vertical blue side, you can push that right. So you're going to have this complete square without changing the perimeter. So that will be 8. As for the perimeter, 8 times by 4. And you got 32 centimeters. That's it. Okay, next one. Anita is facing northwest. So originally, our direction is northwest. I'm going to mark it using this arrow. She then turns anti-clockwise. So this is going to be the direction that she turned through 585 degrees. Which direction does she now face? So let's say, as for the full term, it's going to be 360 degrees. And we know that 500 is definitely more than that. So let's say you're going to take away that. So 585 degrees, I'm going to take away that because it's a full cycle. So after 360 degrees, I'm going to face the same direction originally. So let's see, what do we get? If you take away the number, you got 225 degrees, right? You still need to turn that much of degrees. And we know that is bigger than just a half term, which is 180. So let's use 225, take away 180. You got 45, right? You got 45 degrees. What does that mean? That means after we turn a full turn, and then we face this direction, we got a straight angle, which is 180 degree. And one more, you see, we still need to turn 45 degrees. So add that 45. That will be the final answer. We're just going to face the east. Okay, so you choose A. Next question. So for this one, Mark and Sarah each has a bag of colored contours. Each pie chart shows the proportion of each color in their bags. So the first one is Mark's bag. You see that red is just a quarter, blue is a quarter, green is a half. And Sarah's bag, so far we got no idea about that. And let's see, what percentage of Mark's contour are blue? So a quarter is just 25%. It's very easy for the first blank. And let's see, B, 1/3 of Sarah's contours are red. So we know this is a third. Okay, and the rest are green or blue. Given that Sarah has 12 red contours, so this one represents 12. How many contours are there all together in her bag? Because 12 is just a third, so in total, you're going to use this 12 divided by a third. So actually that equals 12 times by 3, which is 36. Last question. Sarah has twice as many green contours as blue ones. How many blue contours does she have? Let's see, because the number of green contours just double the number of blue. So this one will be, let me use another color. This one will be 2x, there will be 1x. And we know that as for the right is only 12, the total is 36. So if you add that two parts together, there'll be 3x equals to 36 minus 12. You got 24. So 3x equals 24, then 1x equals to 8. Then this one will be 8, and this one will be 16. And the question is, how many blue counters does he have? So as for the blue one, you got 8 of that. Okay, next one. Question number 31. Mark is thinking of 2-digit number and give the following clues. Okay, so first one, my number is 1 less than a multiple of 4. And then, you know, it's a prime number. After that, we know that it's 2 more than a multiple of 5. So we're going to start with this one because we know that any number which is multiple of 5 ends up with 0 or 5, right? And that number is 2 more than that. So it's going to be, because it's 2-digit number, right? So you got something 2 or something 5 plus 2, you got 7, right? So we're going to choose which one, guys? You see, it's a prime number. Is that possible? You got a number which is a prime number that ends with 2-digit number? Of course not. It must be a multiple of 2. It's not a prime number. So we're going to cross this one out. That's it. And guys, can you tell me, as for the prime number, how many prime numbers that are end with 7? Can you list that for me? Yes, Yun, you want to answer this one? List all the prime numbers that has a 7 in the 1st digit. Let's say we got 17. And
60. Wouldn't it have to be like over 50 because the answer is it has to be over 50.
Yep, you have to over 50. So 67 and
97.
Yes, you got 2 different choices. 67, 97. Because you need to be more than 50, we're gonna cross this one out, this one, and this one. So 4, you're gonna choose from these 2. And now we're gonna go back to the first requirement here. 1 less than multiple of 4. So that means if you add 1 to the number, it must be a multiple of 4. So let's see, 68 and 98. Which one is a multiple of 4? It's gonna be this one, right? 68 is multiple of 4. And 98 is not divisible by 4. So the final answer should be 67. Okay. So for this one, if you make a mistake, so make sure you are familiar with all the prime numbers. That's the thing you have to remember. Just try to list all the prime numbers by yourself. Okay. Next one. There are 2 possible function machines which will give results shown below. Work out both possible answers. Let's see. The way that we solve this kind of question is that you need to find the difference of these 2 inputs and 2 outputs. So from 7 to 10, you add 3. From 24 to 33, you add 9. Are you going to do question 36? That's the, yes, that's right. So if you take a look at these 2 differences, you will see that from 3 to 9, you have to multiply by 3. Okay, from 3 to 9, you have to multiply by 3. And that means for these 2 operations, one of that must be times by 3. And you can change the order, actually. If you times by 3 first, so you see what you got. 7 times 3, you got 21. If you want to get 24, you have to add 3. And you can use the second one to check it. Is that correct? 10 times by 3, you got 30. 30 plus 3, you got 33. Yes, that's correct. So the first pair of answers times by 3 first and then add 3 after that. But if I do times by 3, as for the second one, let's see. If I do the first operation and then times by 3, what's going to be the first operation that we have? So if you times by 3 at the second step, you have to use 24. Are you going to explain the last question? Yes, yes, of course. So you have to use 24 divided by 3, you got 8. And you have to use 33 divided by 3, you got 11. And you see 8 is 1 more than 7, 11 is 1 more than 10. So that way you have to add 1 to your input, and then times by 3, you get output. So guys, you got 2 different ways of this function machine. Let's move on to this question number 36. Actually, if you can recall the question, which is about the handshake problem. So it's gonna be easy for you to solve this kind of question. Let's see. Question is, how many line segments are there in the figure below? So as for this side, let's start from this one. This is one of segment. This is another one. This is the third one. And then if you combine these two, I mean, from the first point to the third point, that is also a line segment. And also for this one is new line segment. And of course, for this side, for this whole side, it's gonna be a line segment. So if you count it, as for the red one, you got 3. For the blue one, you got 2. For the green one, you got 1. So 3 plus 2 plus 1, you got 6. You got 6 of that. 6. And actually, you see for this one, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 points. So on the left, this vertical on the left, how many points do you have? Guys, can you count it? How many points do you have? You got 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? You still got 4 points. That means it will be the same. it will be the same as the top line. So it will be 6 as well. And this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 points. So that will be 6. And for this one, on the right, it's not 4 points, it's 5 points. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that is not 6. Then what's going to be the number? You can count it 1 by 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you combine 2 of the line segments, there's some new ones, 1, 2, 3, right? And also you can have 3 of that. 1, 2, and then last one will be the whole side, which is only 1 of that. So actually, what is that? You add 4, 3, 2, 1 all together. That will be 10 line segments over here. So in total, going to be 6 times by 3 plus 10, which gives you 28. Okay, the final answer will be 28. Okay, guys, actually, the answer is the same as the handshaking problem. See, if you got 4, let's say if you got 5 points, actually, it's no need count it 1 by 1. We got that, we can use that multiplication method, right? If you remember that, you can just use 5 times 1 less than 5, which is 4, and then divide by 2. That's how you get 10 fast. Let's see, as for that 4 points, can we get 6 using the same method? You got 3 points. I mean, you got 4 points, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 points. So that will be 4 times by 3 and divided by 2. So you see, you got 6. Okay, guys, I'm just going to make up question for you. Let's see, we got this rectangle. And on the top, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And on the left, I got 1, 2, 3 points. At the bottom, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. Then I got 1, 2, 3. Right? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points in total. So guys, can you use the method and tell me how many line segments are there? How many line segments? Is it 30? I think it's more than 30. You see on the top? You see on the top? It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So it'll be 5 times by 4 divided by 2. That'll be 10. And as for right side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So 5 times by 4 divided by 2. It's also 10. And as for the bottom, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that will be 6 times by 5 and divided by 2. You got 15. And on the left is only 1, 2, 3. And actually it's just 3 points times 2 and then divide by 2. That will be 3. And you add them together. So 3, 10, and 10, and 15. So that'll be 38. That's right, 38. Okay, so next one. Question number 38. Every day, Matt and Rose set their watches right at 12 noon. And you see Matt's watch loses 5 seconds per hour. Rose's watch gains 6 seconds per hour. At 4 p.m., how many seconds ahead of Rose's watch is Matt's watch? You see that because every hour, Matt was going to lose 5, and so Rose was going to gain 6. So it's going to be like the difference, like 11, right? So it's 11 every hour of the difference. And from 12 noon to 4 p.m., they're going to be 4 hours. And that 11 is the difference per hour. So you times by 4 hours, that'll be 44. Right? That's the answer for the first one. And for the second question, when Rose's watch shows 22 and 1, what time will Matt's watch show? Let's see. As for Rose, you're gonna gain 6 seconds per hour. And actually from 12 to 22, let's say from 12 to 22, it is 10 hours, right? It's 10 hours. And every hour, you're gonna gain 6 seconds. And 6 times by 10, you will find it is exactly 1 minute because it's 60 seconds. And you see it's just 0, 1. That means the correct time should be 22 o'clock. That will be the correct time. Question, what time will Matt's watch show? So you see, as for Matt's watch, gonna lose 5 seconds per hour. And from 12 to 22 is just exactly 10 hours. So as for Matt, we're gonna lose how many time, guys? Is 5 seconds per hour times 10 hours. So you're gonna lose 50 seconds. Right? Lose 50 seconds for Matt. And you see the correct time is 22 o'clock. 22 o'clock minus 50 seconds. That's going to be 21, 59 minutes and 10 seconds. Because you go back by 50 seconds. Okay, last question. It says just before the boys set their watches right at 12 noon at the following day, how many minutes will Matt's watch have gained? Actually, it should be lost because for Matt, it's not gained, it's lost. Okay, so from 12 to 12 and noon, we're going to be 24 hours. I don't why you go backwards in question 2. Because you see, it says what time will Matt's watch show? As for Matt, you see, it's lose 5 seconds per hour. And the correct time, this is the correct time. This is a real time. The real time is 22 o'clock, right? So because Matt watch gonna lose 5 seconds per hour, it cannot show 22. You have to go back. That's why we just take away 50 seconds. Okay. For the third one, was the question wrong? Actually, this word is wrong. It's not gain. You have to change that into lose because the Matt watch never, you see here, it's lose 5 seconds. It's not gain 5 seconds every hour. Okay. So as for the 24 hours, let's see, 24 hours every hour, you're gonna lose 5 seconds. So 24 times 5 seconds, how many seconds do we have? So it would be technically be correct if you put -2 minutes. Yeah, technically it's gonna be -2, but actually that should be lost. Okay. So 120 seconds, and that equals 2 minutes, because here it asks you by the minutes unit. So it's going to be 2 minutes. So the answer will be 2. But technically, if you treat that by gained, it's going to be -2. But actually, it's just it's so weird if the question asks you like that. Okay. Guys, are we all good about this question? Let's move on to the next one. It's 2 minutes. But then it will be marked wrong. Yes, I agree with you. Okay, next one. So question number 39, what is the smallest possible difference between two different 7-digit numbers, each of which includes all of the digit 2 to 8? For example, these two numbers. Actually, guys, if you want to have two numbers, let's say you got 1, 2, how many digits do you have? You got 7 digits, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Take away another number, and these two numbers should be different. You want to get the difference as small as possible. So that means it will be better if I just remain this the highest digit, all of this digit, instead of the last two the same, because that gives me 0 if I take away that. So one choice is that I can have 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4 at this place, and just have 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4 at the same place. Because if I take away that, it's going to be 0. But I cannot have 32, 32 the same order because it says two different number, right? It's two different. If you do 32, 32, that will be the same. So I have to change the order of this 2 and 3 to make it different. So the answer should be this one. You use 32 to take away 23. So this way, you got two different numbers, and actually the difference will be the difference will be the smallest. So take away that, you got 9. Okay, that's how we solve it. The answer will be 9 for this one. Okay, last question. It says the diagram on the right shows 10 squares. What is the ratio of the unshaded area to the shaded area? Okay, guys, for this one, you got two different types of squares. These 1, 2, 3, 4, they are for same squares in measure. And this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 are the same. So can we get the relationship of the set lengths of these two different squares? You see, as for the length of our rectangle of this whole thing, the width must be equal to each other. And I'm going to set the set length of the smaller one as A. Let's see, that is A. What was the answer to 39? It can be 9. The difference is 9. Because you see, as for this 5 and this 5 digit, you just remain them the same. So if you take away that, you get 0. But as for the last 2 digits, you're going to have 32 and 23. And you take away that, you get 9. Of course, that is not the only option you can have. You could have, let's see, 87 and 78 at the end is also 9. Okay, but the smallest difference should be 9. Okay, let's go back to this one. I'm going to set the set length of the smaller square as A, and then I'm going to set the set length of the bigger one as B. And he got an equation, which is 4 times A. 4 times A equals to 3B. That's right, 3B. 4A equals to 3B. And actually, it will be a little harder if you use the A and B to do the calculation. How about we use some numbers to represent it? So can anyone tell me what is the lowest common multiple of 4 and 3? Yes, Joya?
12.
Yes, that's 12. So I'm gonna set these two equals to 12. So I can get A and B respectively. So that way A equals to 3 because 3 times 4 is 12, and then B equals to 4. Okay? Because the question asks us about the ratio, so it doesn't matter if I set some real numbers. So I just assume that A equals to 3 and B equals to 4. How do you know that 4A is 3B? Because you see the opposite side of this rectangle must be equal to each other. So this is A, this is A, this is A. And the set length of this one is B and B. And you see 3 of B add together is the 1 of the width. And also on the left is 4 times A is also the same width of our rectangle. So that's why I got 4A equals to 3B. That two green side equals to each other. Okay, so can I move on? Let's see, guys. So far, I know that A is 3 and B is 4. So what will be the width of this rectangle, guys? If we set A equals to 3, 3 times by 4, you got 12. So the width is 12. What will be the length? What's the length here? It's going to be 1 of 3 plus 3 times by 4, which is what number, guys? $15. That's right. It's 15. It's 15. Okay. So we know the total area. Okay. The total area equals to 12 times 15. You got 180. So can anyone tell me how do we get the area of this unshaded part? Because that unshaded part is just a square. What's the area of that part?
Find
Yes,
the area.
Kiki.
So because A is a square and B is a square, you can do A plus B, which is 7, and the length is 15. So you take it away. So it's the white square is going to be 8.
Yes, the set length of the white square is 8. So what would be the area of that part? Area of the unshaded.
64.
64.
That's right, that's right. Area of unshaded place is going to be 8 times by 8, you got 64. So if we use the total area, take away the unshaded part, you got the area of the shaded part, right? So use the total minus the unshaded. You got the shaded part, which is 180, take away 64. Guys, what do you get? Area of the shaded part.
116.
116, that's right. So this will be the shaded part, shaded area. Now we're going to get the final answer, guys. The ratio of the unshaded area to the shaded area. So that will be, so this will be the unshaded area. This is the shaded area. So the answer is 64 to 116. And we have to simplify it. How did you get 4 again? Which 4? Cindy?
So the 4 on the side length of the square.
I know. So, because you see here, we know this relationship. We know this one, which is 4a equals to 3b. So far, so good. Is that clear for you? 4a equals to 3b. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And as for this question, actually, we don't know the real length of each square, the set length of each square in measure. So I just set it as 12. I set 4a equals to 3b equals to 12 because 12 is the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4. Because that way, you're going to have a equals to an integer and b equals to an integer as well. You say 4a equals to 12, that means a equals to 12 divided by 3, divided by 4, you got 3. And for b, 12 divided by 3, this coefficient of b, so you know that b equals to 4. That's how we got it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is the key point. You set it as 12. Okay, and let's go back to the last step. 46, 116, they are all multiple of 4. So if you divide by 4, you got 16. And for that 116, you divide by 4, you got 29. Okay, and then you see that 29 is a prime number, so we cannot simplify it again. Then the final answer, the ratio will be 16 to 29. That's it. Guys, that's all the questions. Any other thing you need to ask, you want to ask? Okay, let's see. Are there any other way to solve question 40 apart from assuming that the set length is 12? Yes, of course. There's so many ways to solve that, but assuming that it's 12 is going to be the easiest way, okay, the faster way to solve it. If you use that 4a equals to 3b, and actually we know that b is just, or in other words, let's see. In other words, we know that a is just 3/4 of B. So you can replace all the A by B. And then you can get all this, you can represent all the areas of the small squares and you add them together. But if you use that way, there will be so many fractions. You have to add many fractions together and see the ratio. But this way, you're going to get rid of the fractions. They are all integers. So that's why I assume that equals to 12. Is that clear? Okay. So actually, I can show you, if you replace A by 3/4 of B, then the area of this small part will be 9/16B squared. And you just use that one times by 4 because you got 4 of that. And as for this little bit bigger square, so you got B squared, right? B squared times by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of that. And you add these two together, that will be the area of the say shaded part. And the unshaded part will be 2B squared, right? 2B squared. So there'll be say 4B squared. If you times 2B and 2B together, you got 4B squared. And then you get the ratio. And you see that we got B squared, and B squared. So that will be canceled out. So you leave all the numbers. But that will be, you have to, deal with the fractions. Okay, guys, that's all. How did you get 15? Which one do you mean? 15. Ah, you mean the length of the rectangle, right? Because we know that A equals to 3 and B equals to 4. Let's see. I use the red one, the yellow one. Let's see. This is 3. This is 4, 4, and 4. The side lengths. 3 plus 3 times of 4 is 12 plus 3. So you got 12. You got 15. That's why. Okay. Guys, any other questions? Are we all good? And no questions. I'm going to stop the recording and end the session, guys.